Welcome to Deserts of Karak, and welcome to the past. Why the past? Because this is Artifact Cup 13 with Indigo690 and Sparrow. Game 1 is on Firebase Krill. So let's watch this from Sparrow's perspective. This is a really old game. Maybe not super old. I was around playing at this time. I think I'm in this cup anyway. And probably a lot of people who are going to be watching this, or some of the people who are going to be watching this anyway, were around and played in this cup. But Artifact Cup 13 was a while ago. Feels like a long time ago. This last weekend we did Artifact Cup 28. So this is kind of a little bit of a throwback. This is the white and white, right? Yeah. The white and white, or kind of white and gray Galcian is Sparrow. And if you don't know Sparrow, he's a tremendously good player. He can go toe-to-toe with A-Game-Anx and Discara and all of the best. And he is fighting Indigo. Oops, let me get that started there. Who's going to be here in the purple, or indigo, you could say, coalition carrier. And Indigo is also one of the best. I don't know exactly how well Sparrow or Indigo do against A-Game-Anx. I know that at least they would never be a guaranteed loss. I mean, and these guys are both really, really good players. Certainly both better than me. And I think I beat Indigo once. And that was like back in the latter days when I didn't really know who many people were, and then he just got really, really good. I think like I might have beaten him when he like first started playing the game, and I'd been playing for a little while. And you know, he's just a really good, really strong player. Sparrow's the same way. And from what I remember of Sparrow, when I played him, he was very, very good at a Galcian double production cruiser rush. But let's check out what's going on in this game. Firebase Krill, obviously. And Sparrow went for a early kind of CU open, reinforced with some RU salvagers. Went for an early second expansion here, remote mining on some CUs. And he's moving his production cruiser back. Moving it around. Okay, he's dancing with his production cruiser. Indigo, meanwhile, similar deal, remote mining on 4 salvagers now. So both of these guys getting an economy going pretty quickly. And if we check out tech, Sparrow, as the Galcian player, is going up to railgun tech. He just started that. And Indigo has already gotten AAV tech. So comparing this to the kind of modern meta, it's not terribly different, except this is a little unusual these days. We don't see the double production cruiser rush. I mean, this isn't really a rush. This is more of a slow 2.5 minutes in double production cruiser gambit. But dumping out sand skimmers like this is kind of an older strategy. It's very Sparrow. This is not old though. I mean, this is typical. We see this today. Both players retiring their base runners. We see that a lot today, so no real artifact pressure here. We don't see any Knef with blast drone shenanigans, so good old CVG play. This is going to be really fun, though. You don't often see these days 2 production cruisers just pumping out sand skimmers anymore. Usually you see them pumping out assault ships, or you see them pumping out railguns, or you see 1 production cruiser. I want to say that A-Game showed that 1 production cruiser can really rush very effectively, but maybe that was more of a trend thing. I'm not really sure the history on that. So both players kind of known at this point. AAVs from Indigo running into the resourcing line of Sparrow. This is going to be very dangerous, and I'm going to keep kind of an eye on that in the background because they're pretty much unopposed right now. There's just a Galcian carrier here with power and range. Meanwhile, LAVs from Indigo kind of facing off with the sand skimmers here and a heavy railgun from Sparrow, but these units are all falling back, so Sparrow clearly feeling pretty threatened by these AAVs. I think it's absolutely correct to feel threatened, and I'm curious to see how falling back is going to play out, especially because there is a huge, massive LEVs coming in here from Indigo. So these salvagers from Sparrow running around, he's going to lose a lot of these. AAVs are just going to slow them down. I'm not sure what Sparrow is trying to do by having them move around. I would say it might... Oh, maybe this was his whole plan, get in range of the railgun here and drop his AAV. If so, it worked. If not, he got lucky.
Course verified. Rally position marked.
With players as good as Sparrow and Indigo, I want to assume that it's skill rather than luck, because it would be tremendously unfair if they're just that lucky. So still no railgun tech from Indigo, but he's making a lot of these LAVs, which against railguns with no armor upgrades is going to do a lot, and there aren't enough sand skimmers here to really contest these LAVs either. Sparrow's down to, what is this, 4 sand skimmers? Selecting these 3, 2. He can kind of hide behind the carrier here, but he's got his production cruisers up forward, dumping units right into the middle of this LAV block, so... He's building sand skimmers for now, so those are going to be less vulnerable to the LEVs than the heavy railguns. But still, Sparrow looking very much on the back foot here. Having to build at home and just sort of lose sand skimmers as they pop out. And also build new salvagers from his carrier.
A strike craft has been destroyed.
Carrier range systems offline.
Carrier online, awaiting directive.
Point now. Prime charges acknowledged.
Hostile armor destroyed.
Sparrow's using some blast charges here from the salvagers to try and do a little bit of damage here. Don't think that does much, but this looks honestly like Sparrow is sort of GG'd out, or at least he's lost a lot of momentum because he's not moving his carrier, he's not moving his production cruisers. And he's really, really behind at this point. Even if there weren't AEVs coming, even if there wasn't a sport cruiser, even if Indigo... Well, Indigo isn't researching any of their tech. There you have it. Sparrow is going to GG out of this one. And... like I said, this AAV kind of rush is very common today because it can do that. It's very potent. And much for that reason, this double production cruiser or sand skimmer kind of assault is not used that often, but I imagine that had Sparrow not had to retreat and pull back from this fight, he might have been able to do a whole lot of damage to Indigo there. In any case, pretty fast game, over in less than 7 minutes, so I kind of like that. It means we get to see a few more games. So I'm going to move right on to the next one, which is on Canyon Outpost. Take a quick look at the stats. No real surprise here. Sparrow's economy got kind of hammered. Sparrow's units got kind of hammered. We all saw that game. So this game we will watch. We'll continue watching from Sparrow's point of view and see what he does. And by the way, you may have noticed I am able to see both players' text there. I am using my little homebrewed mod that lets you see replays. In replays, lets you see the technology of both players. So that's what's going on there. Here in the white, this beautiful Gaussian carrier is Sparrow.
Should be praised. Sacred site located. Returning.
Opening CUs again and retiring his base runner after popping out scanner. And Indigo in the Indigo, although it looks kind of red on this map, I guess.
Rally position designated.
Going for an RU open and going for LAVs right away, also retiring his base runner. Not throwing out a UAV. It's worth noting on this map, this is a 2v2 map, so both players start with 2 full resource extraction zones right next to each other. Normally one carrier would spawn here and one would spawn here, and they're right just kind of back to back. And in this case, you can take a carrier and you can sit it just like Sparrow has, sort of between the points end to end, so that you're technically remote mining, I guess, from one or both of these spots. You can see these salvagers moving back and forth, but you are effectively getting 2 full resource zones, and you don't have to do something like research production cruiser refinery mode, which is very expensive. Instead, you can just get a whole lot of resources very fast. So Sparrow is holding his production cruiser at home, producing salvagers extra fast so that he can get his economy bootstrapped up. Indigo also producing salvagers as quickly as he can, although he does not have a production cruiser because he is a coalition player. And just as before, we see Indigo going for AAV fab very early, and just like note the time, it's going to be about a minute and 40 seconds, right? Minute and 41 seconds into the game that he's got, like, he can now start building AAVs. I haven't timed my own time as much to know how that compares, but that's pretty fast, especially compared to a lot of other games we've seen. So Sandskimmer fabrication only just coming in for Sparrow, and it's going to be interesting, like, does he go right for the railgun fab? Does he have the resources for that? Not really. He needs like 200 RUs for that. And he's going for assault ship fab. So there's a narrow window here where Indigo can come in and just trash this whole economy before assault ships start popping out of these 2 production cruisers now. And Sparrow again is building Sandskimmers, so a unit that's very vulnerable to AAVs should they run into the AAVs. So, like, you know, we should definitely be looking for what happened last game, this sort of retreat from Sparrow and the ultimate collapse of his economy. But because this map is much more broad, he might be able to sneak through this opening and get into the resourcing of Indigo.
Maneuvering out.
Ready.
Light attack vehicle online. Course entered. Armored craft fabrication online. Acknowledge.
So immediately Sparrow is queuing up assault ships from his 2 production cruisers, which aren't seen yet, but his Sandskimmers are, scouted by these LAVs from Indigo. Both players going for very similar builds as they were before. Sparrow not so much, I guess, going for assault ships rather than railguns.
Armored ship rendered.
And assault ships, like AAVs, will absolutely trash a resourcing line, because they do AoE damage, and so while they don't have that same kind of slow effect, they can hit a whole cluster of lightly armored units and just do a huge amount of damage. So what we might see here is more of a base trade or kind of equal blows being laid as both players attack each other's resource line.
Ready for operations.
I just want to point out, Sparrow has a 3rd production cruiser back home and doesn't have refinery mode, which is fine on this kind of a map because he has so many resources here, but he's going to have a massive amount of production, including some production that's still back at home to be able to defend against this attack. So Indigo's AAVs are going to drive these salvagers up, and Sparrow did research 1 level of weapons power, so he does have a little bit more capability to defend himself, and he might be able to take out some of these AVs, but it's going to take a while, and he will lose some salvagers. At the same time, the Sandskimmers from Sparrow, he had them kind of hanging out over here. They've become known, and so have the double production cruisers. They're going to drive right into the economy with the support cruiser over here from Indigo, and you can just see that AoE damage. That was like, what, 4 salvagers just going down? And each AEV shot is hitting both of these salvagers. That's a huge amount of damage being done. These salvagers are going to wisely run away, but now there's no resourcing for Indigo. I guess these, but they'll probably be cleaned up very quickly. Meanwhile, Sparrow is still holding on to 1 spot, and he's built a couple assault ships back home with that 3rd production cruiser, and already killed 1 AEV, driving another one off. And Indigo can't really do anything to reinforce that attack back home, while Sparrow can keep reinforcing his attack at Indigo's home.
Force up.
Armored craft lost.
And there is an economy kind of over here running away. He could expand and use one of these spots, or even one of these spots, right? But he doesn't have that mobile production capability, being Coalition, and his carrier is a little bit camped right now.
Rally position marked.
Indigo also does not have any other... Well, he does have air tech research, so Indigo could be building air. It looks like he's building AAV instead. Sparrow also has air tech and has built a fighter.
A strike craft has been destroyed.
Reposition. Sight weapons on board. Astounding. Sending counter-fires to position.
So watch when any units cluster up, because when you're fighting assault ships, you really do want to spread, and a number of Indigo's units, not so much now, but a number of Indigo's units were taking damage from multiple assault ships at the same time, and assault ships, rather, were doing damage to multiple enemy targets at the same time, really multiplying their damage. And it's really concerning to me that this support cruiser is not hanging out back with these salvagers, that there's not more resources coming in for Indigo, because if we take a look, there just aren't that many left. He doesn't even have enough to build another salvager. He needs these to stay alive, or to at least drop off some resources, and the support cruiser now is not in a very good position. Maybe his play here is trying to keep these units alive, but that's very risky.
Armored craft has been lost. Armored craft taking fire. Strike craft
It is a play that seems to be working, especially since there's not much carrier power here for Indigo to use as repair beams.
Maneuver to grid mark.
But without bringing an economy back online, it's going to be very difficult for him to truly recover in this game.
Salvager construction nominally.
So, yeah, he saves an AAV here with the support cruiser. That's nice.
Heretic detected.
Advance.
Vector marked.
Contact alert. Target position set.
And if you don't know much about Coalition and Galcian
Defense
factions,
alert. Enemy armor
the
inbound.
Galcian factions can self-repair. All of their units self-repair while out of combat, while Coalition units don't, and they'll have to use these repair beams. So, combined with the production cruiser production capabilities, you have this forward assault that is just unrelenting, because these units can retreat and repair, and these units can just produce more of them. While Coalition have to kind of hide back behind these big, bulky, expensive, fragile units in order to even just do a bit of basic regeneration. So these sustained, long fights are really bad for Coalition.
Command verified. Force up.
Armored craft under attack.
So the support cruiser is going to go down, the economy is going to go down, and I think this is really where Indigo should be thinking about GGing, because he has technically enough CUs. Yeah, he's going to GG. I was going to say he didn't have enough CUs to restart an economy and build more salvagers, but he technically did. Probably dropped off another load from one of the salvagers, but this is too much. Look at the veterancy on this guy. Yeah, these guys are pretty ranked up. And Sparrow, meanwhile, was building air, had the air tech. Probably wasn't even too worried about it. Just building assault ships. So that's 1-1, and we get a third game between these guys. Again, a pretty quick game. That one was over before 9 minutes. So pay attention to that, because you'll notice these guys are winning games with assault ships, AAVs, sand skimmers, LAVs. There was a fighter built there and it wasn't used. It didn't need to be. There are no cruisers in these games. I mean, there are support cruisers and production cruisers, but big cruiser class assault units like, assault cruisers or artillery cruisers or battle cruisers, not in play. The early game matters a lot, and a lot of games against and between very skilled players are decided in those early moments. And in this game, Indigo's failing, probably more than anything, was just not scouting it. He only late saw that the production cruisers were rolling into his home. So it'll be interesting to see if this time... It doesn't look like he's going to deploy an LAV with his base runner there. Or UAV, excuse me. But that is an option. You can deploy UAV while you retire your base runner, and it costs 100 CUs, but you get 287 back, so it's kind of a decent trade-off. So we're watching again from Sparrow's point of view. He's going again for his CU open, getting some quick RUs, going for another production cruiser very fast. And I just want to reinforce, this is more rare these days. The double production cruiser right away kind of build, you don't see from very many players in like the artifact cups that start with a 2.
Production cruiser moving out. Belay rally position.
Indigo, again, going for AVs. So this map, big and broad. This is my favorite map. And this is Galcian territories. And this is a big, broad map with lots of, like, annoying swooshy hills that you can get in and on and between with a lot of valleys. And the whole thing's on kind of a slope, so you might think, okay, this is a valley, but if you look carefully, this is really the high ground, and this is sort of on this plateau, which itself is the high ground for another little plateau. And so it's like a staircase. You can think of it that way. Indigo here is on sort of the lower spawn, the lower portion of that staircase, while Sparrow is up on this higher zone, but both players are on the downhill from another approach. So for Sparrow, an approach from Indigo's extraction zone has the high ground, and Indigo can set railguns up here and shoot down and get that high ground damage bonus. And so controlling this area is going to be very important for Sparrow and Indigo both for attacking Sparrow's home. And controlling this area on this ledge is going to be important for Sparrow and Indigo for attacking Indigo's home. And this approach, not really that good. Indigo can very easily swim up on one of these little mounds and shoot down over here. So railguns on this map can be very powerful, but also a little tricky to use because of all the terrain. And neither player right now is going for railguns. Sparrow again going for assault ships and running into AEVs from Indigo before he even has the tech for the assault ships. So he's got sand skimmers here that are just going to die. He should probably stop building, which he has. And he's going to try and run these sand skimmers around, which I really, really like. So I'll watch those, but this is a lot of AEVs, 5 of them, and they're all really threatening to kill either Sparrow's resources or Sparrow's production cruisers. And right now, Sparrow's managing to only fight one of them, but it's got to be really careful that it doesn't lose one of these or both of them. So the assault ships are going to engage, and this will be kind of a slow fight for a while because neither of those units do very much damage. Over here, Sparrow's getting a nice backstab. Only a few sand skimmers over here, but there's also only one LEV here from Indigo, so Indigo is probably going to lose the salvager and then drive off these sand skimmers. But still, you know, mission accomplished. And over here, no AVs have died. The first AV just died. And first assault ship's probably going to die in a minute here. But again, this is really the advantage that the Gaussian have when they can move forward with multiple production cruisers, is that they can reinforce themselves mid-fight. And Indigo is forced to just deal with what he has. So in this situation, Indigo is choosing, you know, okay, I know I'm going to lose all these. These are all dead men walking. Or rolling on their tanks, I guess. Let's get them into the resource line and blow something up. Because we're not going to blow these up, and even if we do, it doesn't really matter. They can just regen. They'll just get replaced. Let's kill the salvagers. The salvagers are harder to replace. The salvagers cost a whole lot more to have inactive.
Reposition.
Ready for deployment.
Advance out. Destination locked in.
And I expect that a lot of these will die. Probably maybe 2 will survive. That's my guess.
Defense alert. Salvager lost. Sand skimmer taking fire.
We're down to 4. And 3. And still an AEV pretty alive. Shooting the wrong target. Should be maybe shooting this one to finish it off.
Strike craft destroyed.
So maybe this one will live.
Alert. Defense carrier in contact.
Moving under fire.
Impact report.
Okay, Sparrow gets away with 3 salvagers. And Indigo cleans up the sand skimmers from Sparrow over here. So overall, economy's in the hands of Indigo.
Defense alert. Enemy armor inbound.
Armor on alert. Destination
7 assault ships versus 5 AEVs. I want to say Sparrow has the military advantage at this point, and if he just rolls in, then Indigo could be in trouble.
Carrier systems ready.
Salvager construction complete.
I'd like to see railgun tech on this map.
Mark verified.
It's a great map for railguns. And it's a great map for using railguns with vision from other units. You really can't just use railguns and on their own on this map. You need to be able to look down across vast distances and engage at range.
Salvager online.
Heretic scanner spotted.
Moving to destination.
I suppose in some sense that's true for all maps, but on some maps like Firebase Krill, there are so many narrow spaces that you can't really fire at range that often
Under
anyway.
fire. Armored craft under attack.
So So Indigo can now start producing railguns.
Salvador construction complete.
And
Defense alert.
assault ships are really good at killing railguns
Defense alert.
at
Cruiser
point
has
blank
been
range.
engaged.
So it'll be interesting to see if Sparrow swings these in, or if Indigo's allowed to build some of these railguns and move them up this hill. And if he can get them up here, he can kill these production cruisers, he can kill these assault ships, and it'll be very hazardous for Sparrow. This is going to be, between these assault ships and these AAVs, is going to be a really long, arduous fight. And
Heating new coordinates.
Heretic craft
Indigo does get the railguns out
railgun
and
inbound.
has an angle on these assault ships, so Sparrow's really kind of forced
Ready
back.
for deployment.
And Sparrow doesn't have railgun tech of his own.
Maneuver to grid.
And he also doesn't have railgun or interceptor tech or artillery cruiser tech or anything like that.
Defense
So
alert. Enemy armor inbound.
On the way. High speed to
it's
target.
not looking great for Sparrow now just because of these units coming out. 3 railguns,
Armor
4 railguns. He's just going to clean this right up. Unless they can just get right on top of them and start killing railguns as they come out of the carrier.
Counterfire on my target.
A strike craft has been destroyed.
Sparrow's economy, meanwhile, still only on one
This is your
base.
captain.
So he doesn't have a whole lot to do with these production cruisers, and Indigo's just running Sparrow around with these railguns. You can see the damage is massive when the assault ships get in range, but it's just so hard for them to do that, and they take a whole lot of damage from these railguns.
Heating new coordinates. Move to mark. Reposition.
Hostile salvager eliminated. Ready for deployment. Armored craft has been lost.
If Sparrow had interceptor tech, he may be able to just retreat and use interceptors to kill the railguns later, or he could even get interceptor tech now. But he re-engaged with these production cruisers, which
Move to destination.
is either going to have to pay off or is going to sort of seal his fate here, because if he loses these production cruisers, it's game over.
Counterfire leg on my target. We have insufficient instruction units. Reposition.
Armored craft lost.
For check resources,
Armored
Indigo,
craft
even
under
with
attack.
his
Defense
recently rated
alert.
economy,
Production
is
cruiser engaging the enemy.
doing a bit better on resources, even while pumping out more units.
Defense
So
alert. Cruiser under fire.
this is not looking good for Sparrow. As he's producing assault ships, they're just getting destroyed before they can even get shots off.
Redirect.
Now, this positioning is okay if you can get right on top of these railguns as they pop out, but
Ahead.
popping out over here, not the best.
Coordinates verified.
So again, look at the clock. 9 minutes, and this game is pretty much over at this point.
Armored craft
There
has been
is
lost.
nothing more that Sparrow
We
can
just
do, and
lost
he
a
should be
production
GGing
cruiser.
right away. He should be. Maybe he's saying congratulations. There's no way he'd praise this
Systems
out, right?
reading.
What is he building for? That's a visual glitch.
Course verified.
He's got a production
Command code
cruiser.
recognized.
Carrier systems
What is he
operational.
doing?
Command verified. Acknowledge.
Railgun tech. Okay. I think it's a bit late for that, but possibly if he can control this area with heavy railguns and
attack
can
vehicle
keep
rendering
his home
complete.
base safe enough with his carrier, then maybe, just maybe,
Ready for dispatch.
he could do something with that. He's pulling back to here, which, okay, maybe he can deploy railguns
Attack
here
vehicle
and
rendering complete.
fire forward.
Ready for operation.
Doesn't have much time, though. 30 seconds until railgun tech is an
Hostile
eternity
railgun
at this rate.
inbound.
Advance.
But at the same time,
Enemy
Indigo
armor
is
inbound.
approaching from this downhill area. He's not coming up on this side, so
Carrier weapon systems offline.
Salvager
it's
is
vulnerable
in
to attack at
contact.
this point
Carrier range systems
for just a
offline.
very narrow window during which Sparrow still cannot produce railguns.
Command verified. We have insufficient resource units.
Coordinates verified. Moving to destination.
This is your captain.
Also note, there is no extra carrier power here for Sparrow.
Defense
Neither
alert.
player was
Salvager
running
destroyed.
artifacts.
Destination verified.
Neither player was researching power reserve.
Strike craft destroyed.
And another production cruiser. So now, okay, double producing railguns is
Defense alert.
interesting.
Production cruiser is in contact.
And if Sparrow hangs on to
Defense
enough
alert. Cruiser has
CUs,
been engaged.
he might be able to win this fight. But this thing just dies
Defense
immediately.
alert.
I mean, it's
Production cruiser destroyed. Alert.
the positioning on the
Carrier
production
under
cruisers, I
attack.
think, is
Crossing
what has
area
doomed
respond.
Sparrow this game. He does have a railgun out here, but it's not in a good position. If it were maybe up here sneaking in, then it could get a good shot on these railguns. The carrier would have vision on it. The railguns could shoot from outside of these railguns' range. So,
Ready for deployment.
some cool ideas in here,
Menu warning. Carrier hull
but judging
set
by
high
Sparrow's
detected.
carrier health,
Carrier
it's
range
not
systems
going
offline.
to
Systems
pay off
online.
for him.
Railgun
He does have a couple
under
railguns
fire.
out here, so I will commend him for that. He's going to take out some
Warning.
AAVs. That's
Carrier
pretty
below
cool. But he would if they
25%
shot the right
integrity
unit.
danger.
Oh, man. That's so sad. These three should all be dead. And at least one of these should be dead. But well played, Indigo. To stick to his guns over here while being attacked. Still has units damaged here. And really giving Sparrow the runaround. You see the units destroyed all around this carrier. While Sparrow had to sort of chase these salvagers around and chase railguns and AAVs around without really landing too many hits. Meanwhile, even going for a third expansion. So, Indigo will move on. Sparrow, unfortunately, will be eliminated, but we might see him in another cup coming soon. So, thank you for watching. I will continue casting Artifact Cup 13, and I think 11 and 12 were also not cast, but just judging by the number of games, those didn't look as interesting. So we'll see. I might get around to that one. But for now, the plan is to do 13. And this is the first one that I've done from 13. So keep watching the channel for more. Thank you for watching.